Hi, this is Daniel Alpine, animation historian, and welcome to a new episode of Animation Memory Lane. Well, last week was the release of the anticipated return of the classic comic book icon, Superman. And now, tomorrow, in fact, another comic book icon will be returning to theaters, but in contrast, is the least anticipated, and that would be the Smurfs. Close to 10 years since the little blue creatures enchanted audiences, they're back, and I thought we could discuss the history of these characters in theatrical movies, because it's more often troubled than you think. But first, long story short, the characters of the Smurfs first appeared in a 1958 comic story, The Flute with Six Holes. It was from a Belgian cartoonist called Pu. The characters proved to be very popular, that it wasn't long until the Smurfs had their own independent comic series. The popularity of the characters would soon lead to it becoming a multimedia franchise, and that would include feature-length films. The first was a 1965 black and white animated film from their country of origin. The film was, in truth, a package film that included 5 episodes of the Belgian-produced cartoon television series. The film is still unavailable in America and has lapsed into obscurity. I've never seen it, so there's not much to talk about. But 10 years later, the Smurfs returned to cinemas in a feature called The Smurfs and the Magic Flute. The film is an adaptation of their first comic story. It was first released in Belgium in 1975, then it would be released in Britain in 1979. It wouldn't reach American theaters until 1983, after the success of the Saturday morning cartoon series of the Smurfs from Hanna-Barbera. While it did prove to be successful at the box office, the film is still considered, well, a bore. Animation historian Jerry Beck reviewed the film as a bland TV episode that was stretched to a feature length, and it wouldn't really appeal to anyone that's not a kid. I actually saw a large chunk of the film on the TV network Stars, and I have to comply with what Mr. Beck said. In 1997, film producer Jordan Kerner set out to obtain the film rights from PU's heirs. Kerner wouldn't achieve this until 2002. The film was initially to be developed at Paramount Pictures and Nickelodeon Movies, and the script was initially written to be a backstory for the characters. But even after animation tests were done, the project was eventually shelved. The film soon went over to Sony Pictures Animation and was released on July 29th, 2011. Similar to its predecessor, The Smurfs in 2011 proved to be a huge hit at the box office, and it did achieve the status of the ninth top grossing film of 2011. The critical reception was poor. The 2011 Smurfs movie is still called a part of a very unfortunate trend called the Alvin and the Hip Monks treatment. The definition of that is an instance where a studio takes classic cartoon franchises and adapts them into live action movies that end up as bad reviews, because rather than making the film appeal to all walks of life, which includes children, their parents, and older fans of the character, It's content on making the film solely appeal to kids and tries to rebrand the characters to be hip and cool for current kids. Because of that, the film ends up being disrespectful to the original work. I did see the Smurfs in 2011, and I see that it was a pile of Smurf. But due to its success at the box office, a sequel was put into production, unfortunately. Smurfs 2 reached movie theaters in July of 2013, and of course, the reviews were much worse than the first. And it did not prove to be all successful at the box office either. It's also sadder that Smurfs 2 was the final film appearance of actor Jonathan Winters, since he died a few months before its release. Due to the critical and commercial failure of the sequel, the in development Smurfs 3 was cancelled. Thank goodness. But instead of ending the theatrical franchise there, Sony decided to give this another go. But it would be a left turn because it was decided to instead produce an all animated reboot. I remember when the first official image was posted, and I thought that perhaps this could have potential since the look was closer to the original comic designs than the rather creepy live action ones. The initial title of this reboot was announced as, and I'm not joking, Get Smurfy. What the Smurf kind of title was that? I promise that's the last Smurf pun for this video. Really, I promise. But it was soon retitled as Smurfs The Lost Village, which is a lot better. The film was released in the spring of 2017. In a slight contrast to the last two attempts, this feature film received mixed reviews. Sure, it was considered much better than the live action films, but critics said that it didn't provide anything substantial, and similar to the Smurfs and the Magic Flute, it would appeal more to kids and to Smurfs fans, and financially, the film wasn't very successful. But it did lead to a TV series spin-off that aired on Nickelodeon. Now it's Paramount's turn to breathe new cinematic life to the Smurfs in a new musical film simply called Smurfs. I can already tell from the ads that I've seen that the film is a retread of the live-action Sony movies, except with cheap-looking animation. Seriously, the animation for this makes Disney's Wish look better. I seriously doubt that it will surprise me if I see it, and that's a big if. I promise to post a review of it, but we'll have to see if that's on the cards soon. Well, that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll be seeing ya.